Hello, everybody, and welcome to the BAF Media Equity session. My name is Mary Edoro, and I'll be taking today's session on how to secure media coverage for your fashion brand. Before we delve into today's conversation, I'd like to give a brief introduction of myself. My name is Mary Edoro. I'm a fashion journalist and a digital media strategist with over 8 years experience, and I'm currently the head of content for Africa's leading tech-driven fashion media platform, BellaNaija Style. I'm so excited to be taking this session today because over the years, I've worked with so many amazing fashion designers, business owners, beauty brand owners, etc. And I've seen their businesses grow by the way they leverage their interactions and relationships with media. So let's go along on this ride. I want you to, from wherever you are, at home, at school, whatever you're doing, be as interactive with this session as possible. Bring a notepad, jot things down, take some tips, and learn as we go ahead. Okay, so before we continue, I want you to debunk this myth, and I want to debunk this myth right from the jump, that only the already popular designers and fashion brands constantly get press attention. That is an incorrect statement, and I hear a lot of people saying it every time, and I just want to say that it's not true. As a fashion journalist, I know that I'm not always keen to feature only the people that are always in trend, that are always in the news. I want to get new designers. I want to see the new talent on the continent. I want to see the people doing the next big thing on the continent. So this is completely incorrect. As we go into the session, you'll learn more. But for now, let's get this out of the way. Let's address the elephants in the room. Okay, for today's session, I will teach you how to leverage media to build brand credibility on the continent and globally, as our core focus is Africa, from Lagos, from Cape Town, from Dakar, wherever you are. We want to learn how to build credibility on the continent, but also to be able to reach international audiences from Africa. I want you to also learn how to tie in your brand identity to build awareness for your brand, to increase your customer base, and to increase your website and SEO rankings. So of course, the fact is that lookbooks, editorials, and interviews are content, and content is oil to the wheel of media platforms. What do I mean by this? The fact that you already have a business is amazing. You have the talent, you design excellently, you're good at what you do. But forming that into content and sharing it with media platforms is also content for them, also content for media organizations. So it's a win-win situation, which as media platforms, as fashion journalists, we always welcome. Before we go ahead, take a moment to ask yourself who you are and what do you want to achieve from this session. Now make a note of your brand name, your name, and your brand's unique story, because you're going to be hearing the word story as we go along this session. So take some time now to write out your brand's unique story in 1 or 2 sentences. Tell me why your brand is unique. Tell me why your brand is going to thrive, is going to succeed in Africa to the rest of the world. Yeah, go on. Okay. It's true, every brand needs a digital media strategy. You cannot escape from it because we're in 2022 and almost every business is on social media right now. And apart from social media, we have other digital media platforms like websites, gaming sites, etc. that are doing so well for fashion businesses. And you have to leverage these opportunities to build your brand and get your brand out there. The key questions you should answer when creating your media strategy is 1, what platform should I use? How can I make my brand easier to reach through tech options? And this can be, how can I make my brand easier to be accessed? Do I want to use YouTube? Do I want to use Instagram? Do I want to use TikTok? Do I want to use Twitter? And what is my brand's ad and promotion structure? Now, all of this has been discussed and divulged into in my ebook that's coming out, which is called The Winning Digital Media Strategies for Fashion Designers. It'll be out in September of this year. So if you want more information about this, please send an email to contact.lagoscitychick@gmail.com. So Once you know what your your digital media strategy is, you now have to think of different ways to garner media attention, which is why we're here today. Now, some of the key things I think every business owner has to think about when they're trying to attract media attention is one, to know and own your story. Like I said, you'll be hearing the word story a lot as we go along, because as a fashion journalist, one thing that strikes out to me the most is a brand story. What is the inspiration behind that brand? What inspired that brand to be created? What is the unique thing that that brand is doing that the rest aren't doing? What is that thing that's going to provide economic relevance over the next brand that's just doing the regular thing? What local crafts, local artisans are these brands using that are going to contribute to a more sustainable fashion future? These are the things that always attract me to brands anytime I'm being reached out to by a brand. Two, you'll need to build a media list. What are the platforms that strike out to you the most? Is it a BellaNaija Style? Is it Vogue? Is it Elle? Which brands, which platforms are more in tune with your audience base? We're no more at the stage of asking what is your target audience. By now, you already know who you design for, what is the demographic you design for, what type of people do you design for? Do you design for the upwardly mobile? Do you design for the people who are going out every Friday night? Do you design for the people who are going on vacation? Is it resorts where you already know your target audience, but you need to create a media list that caters to this audience? The people that are going to buy your clothes, are going to buy your pieces, are going to buy your fashion pieces. What platforms do they visit regularly? You need to be able to share your story and introduce your brand. A lot of the times I find that fashion business owners always make a mistake of badgering journalists, media, people in media with 1,000,001 emails saying, oh, hi, feature this, feature that, feature this. Now, there's a more calm and collected way to do this, which will get attention easily. Draft an introductory email, your name, your brand, what your brand does, samples of your pieces, and set up a meeting. Set up a meeting with the journalist, the editor of the media platform or platforms that you're interested in. Tell them about your brand story, send them a couple of samples to see, and then say, hi, I'd like to have a meeting. Are you free? So and so time. Now, this gives the editor or the media professional or the journalist the mindset that you are ready for business. You are here to do business. You have a goal in mind and you're ready to achieve it. So this is a key step in getting that media attention. Now, when you have the meeting, already have some set points that you want, but be open to suggestions and advice from the media professional, because they are media professionals for a reason. Feel free to take advice based on what you want. If you want to share your lookbooks, if you want to share an editorial, if you want to invite them to an event, but feel free to let them tell you how best they can help to communicate your brand story on their platforms. The fourth thing would be to create and maintain key media relationships. It's not just enough to have 1 or 2 meetings and expect that all other platforms will follow suit. You have to maintain these relationships with constant updates, with constant incentives that would make your brand, your business top of mind to these journalists, to these media experts. Put your brand on the radar. And what do I mean by this? Always keep your social media profile up and running. I know people like to say that we're all just renters and these big platforms are the landlords, but still it's worth a shot to constantly put out your content on these social media platforms, because it creates top of mind awareness for people who aren't already your customer base. Delving into the 3 sources of media coverage, I'll start with the brand story. Again, story. It is very, very important that you are able to put together the reason, the drive, the motivation and inspiration behind your brand and what you do as a designer. If oftentimes people like to be behind the scenes, and that is perfectly okay, but you should be able to tell the narrative of your brand. What is the trajectory you want for your brand? Who are you trying to reach? And what is the social economic impact of what your brand is doing? I'll give the example of some Nigerian designers who are working closely with local artisans and handcraft artisans. Now, these designers are able to tell their narrative and tell their stories while also weaving in the fact that they are doing some great work in the country with social and economic impact. The most organic media coverage emerges from a connection to your brand's narrative. Me, for example, I'm very passionate about sustainable fashion. And once I see a brand that's also passionate about sustainable fashion, they are already on my radar. Not only do I want to shop from them, but I want to see what their brand is about. How are they putting together these ideas of sustainable fashion in Nigeria, in Cape Town, in Ghana, in Dakar? How are they doing it? What are the things that the steps that they are taking? And I'll want to write about that as a journalist on my platform. This earned media coverage consists of articles about your brand that were not published on websites that you control or that you pay for, such as reviews, interviews, social media, shout outs, and other features. I am very big on doing brand coverage based on stories because I connect on a different level with these brands. And when a journalist or a media expert connects with your brand, it's a game changer. You should be able to sell your brand story, network and leverage industry relationships, keep your social platforms active and engaging, and have positive customer experiences. One of the designers that I've met in the course of my journey as a fashion journalist in Nigeria is Emmanuel Okoro. He's behind the brand emphasise, and he's been doing a fantastic job with local Akwete. And when I met Emmanuel in 2019 and listened to him speak, I was very much inspired. And that birthed this feature and many others which have come after, because I've seen and connected with him on the level of the story that he's telling through his brand. This was a limited series that I hosted called the Millennial Designer Series, where I used to spotlight up and coming designers in Africa doing amazing things on the continent. Now, again, bringing back to what I said at the beginning of this conversation, it's not only the popular designers or the popular brands that constantly get featured. When I had met Emmanuel, he was still up and coming, he was still a rising designer. But now it's so beautiful to see how well he has risen through the ranks. And I'm very glad to be part of that story. These are from BellaNaija Style, by the way. The next thing we'll talk about is brand promotions. Now, brand promotions can also be known as paid media coverages, including paid event coverage, paid website features, paid experiences, and targeted social media ads. Brands can reach customers through sponsored content that they might not otherwise be able to through their organic digital presence. This is especially true for large-scale exposure and for mainstream audiences. Brand owners should make strategies and create a budget for some paid media exposure. To be honest with you, yes, earning media coverage is amazing and it's a game changer, like I said. But to sweeten the deal, you need to include some brand promotions. I know there are some brand owners, especially in the fashion industry, who are very, very expressive in saying that they've not done any sort of paid coverage, and that's amazing. But to tell you the truth, and depending on the exclusivity or not in-exclusivity of your brand, you might need some brand promotions to make it work, to sweeten the deal, to reach some audiences. And I especially advise this for physical events and gatherings that are open to the public. Because when you advertise, when you share with a wide range of people, the law of averages will be in your favor. Because if you share your message to over 100 people, you can have at least 50 people come to your event. So think big. If you're thinking big, brand promotions are the way to go. And like I've listed here, for event coverages, you can pay for that. Brands like BellaNaija Style, BellaNaija Online offer paid event coverages for events. And we do this very well because we're able to tell your brand story in a way that it's organic, even though it's paid for. Paid website features are also a good way to go for post-event features. That's after the fact events. So you've had a great event, but maybe you didn't do so well. Maybe the audience wasn't, maybe the people that you expected to be there weren't there, or even if they were there, but you want to amplify that on a larger scale. Paying for a website feature will do you good. Paid experiences. Brands do this a lot, especially fashion brands, international fashion brands. For example, we have the Revolve. Revolve does this annual trip they do with a bunch of influencers where they fly them to a scenic location and then they have some sort of holiday. The influencers are wearing pieces from Revolve. Now, this is a marvelous way to get people to constantly keep talking about your brand, keep tweeting, keep posting pictures about your brand, and making it seem very organic and pretty, but it's a paid experience. Brands also do things like giving outfits to people like journalists for Fashion Week, giving outfits to celebrities and things like that. These are other variations of paid promotions. And of course, we all know the targeted social media ads, Instagram, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, etc. So here are some examples of some paid ads on BellaNaija Style. Here is this lookbook, which was featured. Here is another one as a news post, which was also featured as paid content. The image by the right was a highly engaging one where we shared these pictures from the latest collection from Nala. Brand content. Now, fashion brand owners must create a diversified portfolio of owned media platforms to expand their brand's reach in this generation's ever-evolving digital media landscape. Simply put, you have to create your own content. You have to create your own content in forms of lookbooks, video content, editorials. You have to create content one way or the other. You have to have a website where you are able to put this content. You have to be able to share this content with other people. Because if you just have very dodgy pictures of one or two pieces, honestly, even your customer base won't be able to buy from you because they are not able to see your pieces clearly. So you have to create your content. Like I said, in this ever-evolving digital media landscape that we're in, you have to create your content. Some brands that have done really well in doing this is brands like Kai Collective, Sai Sanko, Andrea Ayama, who always pulls off an astonishing show each year. Lookbooks, editorials, campaigns, press events, fashion shows, pop-ups, shopping parties, soft launches are great ways to go in terms of creating your own content. You don't even have to think too deeply about it. Just explore one or two ideas. For lookbooks are the most popular, lookbooks and editorials. But you can think of a press event, or maybe you are launching a new chapter for your brand. You're changing your brand's name. Invite about 10 people, 5 from the media, 2 from the influencer space, 2 other designers, and maybe somebody else, and have them there to experience this event with you, to experience this new change with you. This will also bring about some sort of media coverage that brings another angle to your brand's content. And even putting that content together, putting the pictures or the videos from that event together will also give you a certain leverage. Of course, we know about Fashion Week, Dakar Fashion Week, Cape Town, SA Fashion Week, Lagos Fashion Week, Glitz. We have so many of them. How are you leveraging the content that you get from these events and these platforms for your own page, for your own platform, for your own social media, for your own websites? How are you leveraging them to get coverage from other media platforms? One way I know always works is before Fashion Week, some brands reach out to us at BellaNaija Style asking for interview features. And this is amazing because from there, I'm able to ask them, do you have some behind the scenes shots that you can share with us? Do you have a sketch pad of the latest collection? Because we also want to be ahead of the news. So before the collection comes out on the runways, we already have this behind the scenes shots. We already have this, we have the textures of the things we're going to be seeing on the runway. We have that. So this is content to us, and we'll publicize it as much as possible across our platforms, and you get coverage from that. So do not be afraid to reach out when you have content. Do not be afraid to reach out when you have something, a story to share. And of course, media platforms, like I said, will always want to accept your content because they also need this content. So here's an example of our lookbook folder. And here's a pro tip, guys, for people who don't know. Its special secret is that most of the lookbooks on our site are posted for free, except brands want to interject some sort of ad into it, maybe like their address or promotional bits. But majority of our lookbooks on our website are completely featured for free. Why? Because we believe in the African story. We believe in telling the story of the African designers, of the creativity on the continent. So we're always very eager to share and promote content from African designers. Now, I've spoken at length. What is the difference between editorial and advertorial content? This is a question I get oftentimes because people don't know the difference. Editorial content is the content that you get to feature maybe because of media that you have earned or media that you own. For example, you have a lookbook, which is owned media. You have a lookbook and you share it with BellaNaija Style and we feature it for free. Or we feature you because we connect with your story. We feature you because we like what you're doing, your latest initiative, which is helping women, underage women, to escape or toxic or abusive marriages or relationships. We connect with that idea. So those fall under editorial content. Advertorial content is content that you pay for. You pay to be featured. You pay for a live coverage. Now, here are the differences. With editorial content, you get to control your brand narrative. So you have a story that you want to tell, like I've said throughout this session. You have the story that you want to tell, and you pitch it to an editor, you pitch it to a journalist, you pitch it to me, and I understand and connect with it. Now, that is the narrative that I'll keep pushing out. Oh, this brand is interested in women empowerment. This brand is interested in educating teenagers. This brand is interested in channeling local materials for large-scale production. This is the narrative that will be pushed out because you have tied in a journalist, an editor to your story and your narrative, and that person now connects with it and continues to run with it. Community building. You're able to build your community with a niche audience, and this also ties to targeted sales reach. Because you are connected with that platform, a platform that caters to, say, 16 to 40-year-old men, that platform would help you to channel and build your community through editorial content that is relatable, that has continuity. I'll give an example. A few years ago, before Fashion Week, I was introduced to Victor of Vicnate. A lot of people might know the brand Vicnate. He's an amazing designer. And I was introduced to him by Style Infidel, the popular Style Infidel. His actual name is Tosin. Tosin is an amazing human being. And he introduced me to this 16-year-old then designer, and he said he does amazing work. He shared with me some of his content, and all of this happened via Instagram DM. It was so beautiful, and I was so excited. So I asked for his number. I called him, and within 2 weeks, Victor was in my office. Back then, he was still rising, a rising designer. I could see the passion in him. I could see the drive in what he was doing. And he came over to my office. He brought about 3 pieces for me to try on. They were all so amazing. So I picked one I wore for Fashion Week. And all of the compliments, I got a feature on Vogue. My picture was on Vogue. It was all so beautiful and also amazing. And as a journalist and a media expert, of course, I had top of mind awareness of Vicnate and everything he was doing. And so when his lookbook came out, of course, it was a no-brainer that he was featured. When he had some celebrities rocking his outfits, of course, it was a no-brainer that he was featured. So this relatability and continuity is what you get out of editorial content and editorial coverage, because you formed a personal relationship with the media platform, with the editors behind the scenes, with the journalists, and they're able to continue to spread the message of what you're doing. Of course, reduce cost implications, because all of this come for free most of the time. So of course, the cost implications and financial commitments are lower. Advertorial content, and don't get me wrong, advertorial content is also great because it offers you, like I said previously, offers you the opportunity to reach a mainstream audience, to be able to get high engagement and higher exposure. They're also able to get direct to consumer sales rates, which is what I said, higher sales rates. So most of the time, if you just want to sell, especially if you have a lot of collection, a lot of stock, and you produce a high rate of production, you're able to sell faster and quicker through targeted ads and targeted promotions. Of course, there's a clear call to action, which is mostly sales through advertorial content. So you know, okay, it's sales that I want, and my ads are heading for sales. Or you want people to come for an event. Okay, people know, register here to attend, register here to attend. That's the message that's always being pushed out. Register here to attend, register here to attend. There's a clear call to action. But there's also lower non-financial investments, which is great for some people who love to be behind the scenes. So if you're more of the behind the scenes designer, you don't want to be out there, you don't want your story to be out there, you don't get to invest that amount of time that you would reaching out to an editor and discussing, you wouldn't have to do all of that. You would just pay to feature, pay to get featured, pay to get featured. I'll always say balance both out effectively. Like I said, they are both good. None of these strategies are bad. But when they work together, they are amazing and mind-blowing. So you have to find the balance with how to leverage it. I'll advise for brands to have press seasons and also promotional seasons. So for press seasons, you have a season, a period, maybe it's 1 to 2 months or however long you want, where you're constantly investing in press. You're investing in stories that you're sharing out, lookbooks you're putting out, stories about your brand, what inspired your brand, what inspired your collection. You're reaching out to journalists, you're sharing your latest collection with them, you're sending them a piece of your clothing to check out and wear it to their next event. These are press seasons where people are just seeing your brand in the news constantly. You're also reaching out to influencers, celebrities, and all of these end up in the news. Those are press seasons. Those are great examples of how you can leverage media. Have those press seasons and then go back, re-strategize, and then have a promotional season. Now, in your promotional season, you're promoting sales, you're promoting a physical event that you're having, you're promoting your pop-up that's happening, you're having a shopping party, you're promoting that, promotions. And then that would be a perfect way to leverage both editorial and advertorial content. Of course, on BellaNaija Style, we encourage both of them because editorial content is a way for us, our team, my team, to connect even on another level with the people, with the brands that we feature. Advertorial content is also a great way for us to feature people that we didn't otherwise know and get to have these brands reach a larger audience. I've enjoyed myself talking to you all about this topic, but if you want to discuss further, if you have any specific questions for me, please do not hesitate to reach out to me on any of these social media platforms to the left, LinkedIn, Mary Edoro, and on Instagram, the Mary Edoro. As a brand owner, do not be afraid to try new things and take risks. Do not be afraid to make meaningful connections in the industry that you belong to. Everything, I believe, will work out amazing once you are able to find a wonderful balance. Thanks to BAF, Bias in African Fashion, for allowing me to take today's session. I'm very, very excited, and I hope you have been able to learn a thing or two from this conversation. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.